Now it's my absolute pleasure to introduce Henry Lynch. Henry runs a company called Faraday, and Faraday is involved in the governance level of organisations. Now, Clayton actually said in this morning, Clayton, when he was up in his part of the conversation here, was talking about how a lot of financial advisors are accidental business people, right? They've come in as financial advisors and the business has kind of happened by accident. This regime of a move to licensed entities means that we have to have a bigger focus on our business. And the focus on the business starts at the top. It starts with governance, about how you look after this child that you've created. And Henry is an expert in this area. He has a background as CEO of major companies. He's now on a number of boards, advisory boards and so forth. He's a chartered member of the Institute of Directors. He's a fellow of Governance New Zealand. So very, very strong background. We couldn't be luckier to have somebody of such calibre to come and work with us on governance today. So Henry, could you please come up and share your expertise? And if we could welcome Henry along, please.
Thanks, Mark. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for the lovely intro there, Mark. And thanks to the FSC team for inviting us along here today. I've got some good news. There are no role plays today. But there's some exercises that we'll have to do, and we'll be handing some of those out as we go along. And the objective is that you'll build your own strategic plan, business plan, and 3 horizons. It'll obviously be a work in progress, and you can take it back and we'll give you the tools as well. For the online people, you will have already received those links, and we'll slowly go through that. First of all, I'll give you a bit of an introduction to the school competition, to Faraday and what we'll learn today. So what we're going to learn is the situation facing small and mid-market businesses. And I think this might be of benefit for you, for your own business, of course, and for businesses that you're working with. And how governance systems have evolved, and why directors and business owners are facing problems outside of their day-to-day control. And then why most businesses make no profit. So we'll have a bit of a talk about that, and why the winners win big, and then we'll also talk about why time matters, and also why airline pilots are only level 3. So we'll wait for that. And then how do you actually move your business up if you want to keep growing? And then what does success look like? And then the difference between governance boards and advisory boards. So that's what we're going to cover. There's only about 2 or 3 slides on Faraday. So as Mark was saying, what we do is we establish advisory boards for the SME market. We have a proven process, and that's called the 90-day starter plan. What I'll do is, and that normally takes 3 months, by the way, but we're going to do most of it in this hour and a half. So it'll be good fun. And we have a network of advisors and chairs throughout New Zealand and Australia that can help you. And we were established in 2017, and in that time we've helped 450 companies. The model has evolved, obviously, as we've been working over the years. And why we show this slide is that it just really shows that no matter what industry you're in, and we're obviously on the financial services here, but it has worked across numerous industries. So, what we're doing very quickly is this introduction to professional advisory boards. Normally takes, a good 2.5 hours, and it'll be everything that you need to know about the different roles that governance plays for boards, for companies. And then we'll look at this 90-day starter plan that we've got, and then we'll talk about how, once you've built your plan and you've got it there, you refresh it. You keep refreshing it and looking at a new problem, a new challenge, a new opportunity, get in an advisor, they help you, and you keep going around. So it's a living document. Okay, here's what people say about us. Don't expect you to read all of that, but just get that it's more the feel, the look and feel of it. So it's all about growth, your expectations, what you want, and how you're in charge of your business. And it's a learning, so we do it with you, not to you. So we're not consultants. We try and impart everything we can to our clients that we work with, so that they know more about the system than we do. So, the situation confronting small and mid-market businesses, and obviously a lot of us will know this in the room. It was pretty complex, wasn't it? Before COVID came along. You know, we had uncertainty, ambiguity, volatility, and then along came COVID. So if we thought it was pretty tough before, it's got a little bit tougher. And so the question is, how well can you predict the outcome of your actions? And why that's important is that in this new world, traditional business governance systems were designed to solve last century's problems. And so you look at the two-tier board system there, and that's got the board of commissioners, supervisory board, directors, business, and that's okay. And some countries like Germany, Netherlands and China use that. And then you've got a one-tier board system that we're pretty familiar with, shareholders, board of directors and business management. And then you've got owner-operator system, which is the shareholder and director. But they're actually designed such a long time ago for problems that they're not solving today's problems. And so what we're going to talk about later on is what's the best for you and your business. And so I'd just like you to have a look at these three questions, please. So do you have the knowledge, skills and experience to separate all this noise from signal that's out there? How much do you really know about the situation that you're facing? And how well can you anticipate the results of your actions? So just keep those in the back of your mind as we go through. So let's talk about the odds of your business success. So many companies get stuck in what we call a natural make or break points. So they have these natural make or break points. And don't worry too much about the numbers here, you know, and we'll come into some other numbers in a minute. And so if we were all to start a company together, you know, you obviously start off, unless you're very lucky, with zero income. And then you move up to say $500,000 revenue. And you might move up to 1.5. And so you've got this transition to rapid growth. But what happens is that, where do you play? What do you do? How do you go about it? And as you keep moving up, there's these natural make or break points that affect the business. Some larger businesses that we see at 10 million turnover revenue, they bounce up to 12, then they go to 10, and they go back to 8. They keep bouncing. And that's because they haven't figured out their strategic plan, their business plan, haven't got good governance. And we heard a bit of that this morning from Tony. And so as you go up, and this is a very large numbers, you see this natural make or break point. If they have started the business themselves from scratch, at some point, the business owner, if they're the founder, will get founder's fatigue. And so then they bounce down again, bounce back up, bounce down, bounce up. So everyone in the room has the same issues, you know. So as your advice business grows, cost to do business increases, obviously, because there's more cost with the business. And you need to really, really plan and carefully plan each part. Now this is just an example, obviously. And as you can see, you might bring on a new advisor down at the 50K mark, but that's got, you know, challenges, opportunities. You're working longer hours. So your first move isn't to increase the income. Your second move might be to free up more time. And your third is to gain more scale. So you're moving up, but you've got these natural make or break points and you're bouncing up and down, unless you're very lucky and you can do it straight like that. So, SWOT, good old SWOT. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats. This one here is from manufacturing business. It's an action-based SWOT. It's a little bit different to our traditional SWOT. And if you look at the right-hand corner there, resolve weaknesses to take advantage of opportunities, what we're talking about there is maybe they want to formalise a market discipline. But what is actually the action that they need to take to overcome that? So each part of a SWOT, one of these SWOTs, is actually what's the action that's needed to be taken. So it's just not saying, hey, okay, I've got a SWOT, what do we do now? Now, remember there's no role plays, but there is exercises. So Jeff and Mark and Dave are going to hand out some exercises for you to do now. The first one's going to be a SWOT, and the online people will have got theirs in the email. Now you might be working with some colleagues, so if you want to do this together, that's fine, around your table, or you just do it individually. You've only got about 8 minutes to do this, so it's not detailed. Just have a go at your strengths, weaknesses and opportunities and threats. Yep, we'll take both of those out, yep. These are my assistants, by the way. Yeah. Okay. So this is the one that you're going to fill in, and the coloured one is just for an example for you to take away. So just have a go at some of your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats. Okay, let's all get back together now. Okay, so what you should have on your tables now is the cover sheet, which you can put the name of your business in if you so wish. You should have a 90-day action plan, and you should have your SWOT completed as best you can, and at the same time there is an example one coming around as well. And Jeff and the team have just put this together before the presentation, so it's not just an example. You might want to think of some of these examples here and use for your own business, but you should have that hopefully on your desk now, or your table. And so what we're doing is we're building a strategic plan, and at the end of the session you'll have about 5 or 6 pages where you put it all together. That action list is things you might want to write down as you're going through it, that you might want to look at doing over the next weeks, months or whatever. So we won't go through that in detail, the SWOT example that we've got there, because of time, but that might be something you might want to look at using in your own business. So let's just have a look at the power of big moves for a moment. We've got 2 gentlemen here. For those of you who are into sumo wrestling, don't think there'll be many. It's a ring, and the idea is to either take one person to the floor or push them out into the ring. The smaller of the 2, although he's quite big, is if you have a close look at him, he's moving a little bit to the right, so he's making a strategic move. The other one is bigger, but there's a strategic move here that this person is making, so to throw them out. So it doesn't matter how big your business is, it's what your strategic move is, or the big move. And what this means is the power of the big move, and here's the power curve through here. So businesses will come up through here, and the idea is to go out through there. So the small guy wants to get right to the top here. What's interesting, and this is data from New Zealand and McKinsey, so it's very, very similar, worldwide, that 20% of companies here suffer deep economic loss. The sad, and it's not a very good slide, it's very depressing, 20% will fall down. Some good news is coming, 68% will stay in the middle, okay? But they'll only make, on average, 2% profit. 12% will move up into that top quartile. And so 20% of companies capture 90% of available profit and capital. So if you're here, and you might be happy to stay here, it's up to you. If you're here, you want to stay here, or you want to keep moving up. And it's the power of the big move. And that's what we're going to look at now, is how do we do that? But the question is your strategy 88% better than all other strategies? And so moving up is done by a number of ways. It's mergers and acquisitions, depending on the size of your business. It's resource reallocation, so more capital into the business. Productivity increase, which we heard about this morning. And then how do you make yourself different in the marketplace? And we heard about the number of businesses there are in advisors. So 45% of the odds of moving up is determined by a combination of these big moves. And if you only do one move, you've got an 8% chance. If you can do two, you've got 17%. But if you can do three or more, you've got a 47% chance of moving up. Or if you're already up there, staying there. On our website, goes into detail, but this is just one page of it. And this is Canadian research. It's from the Bank of Development of Canada. And they did a 10-year study on companies that have professional advisory boards. It's one of the best studies in the world. Canada are very, very advanced when it comes to advisory boards. What that study showed is that, research showed that there was a 67% increase in revenue over those 10 years, roughly a 6% productivity improvement, and then sales were 24% over 10 years higher. And then 86% of the leaders said that they would go through the process again of having a professional advisory board. So the outtake here is just to look at those big numbers, remembering we just looked at the big moves. So if you can do some big moves, you're going to move up. So let's have a look at a New Zealand case study. So I've just looked at a case study in the research from Canada. About 18 months, 2 years ago, I was asked to set up an advisory board for a broking firm. They were commercial insurance. The problem was that there was no business succession. That the owner, sole owner, had some health problems. But it wasn't too bad, but we looked like we needed to do a sale. As it went along, he got really sick, and he's passed away now. So what we did was we did the 90-day plan, which we're very quickly going through here today. We put the business matters in order over those 18 months. We looked at different options available, and we made recommendations to the shareholders of the company. Then we put a plan together and we monitored it every month. What happened was that a sale went ahead very quickly, and it maximised his sale price by an extra $800,000. But that was because he had a governance checklist in place, he had a plan, he knew what his market was and everything like that. and the sale was done before he passed away. So it's quite a sad story, obviously, but what it does show is that with planning, he was able to leave some good funds for his family. These are a number of companies that we work with, and they're very, very good logos there. They're all nice and square and nicely coloured and everything like that. But it's the people behind the logos that we're more concerned about. And all of these are business owners in a huge range of different industries. Each one of them has got some sort of plan in place now for their business and doing what we're doing very quickly in an hour and a half. So what you can do is you can take this back and work on it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to ask over the next 12 months, what's your 3 business ambitions? What's your 3 business challenges over the next 12 months? And then what's your 3 business priorities? Okay. So, next 12 months, what's your 3 business ambitions? What's your 3 business challenges? And then what's your 3 business priorities? And the guys are handing out some of these now. So we're only going to have about 10 minutes on this, so you'll have to go really quick. And it's what immediately comes into your head. Let's not overthink it for the sake of today, you know? Right. We're ahead. If you want to have a quick look before you get to your the papers that the guys are handing out, I'll give you a bit of a clue. If you put down something on your challenges, opportunities or priorities that is not on your SWOT, there's going to be a mismatch. So if you've got some strengths, weaknesses and opportunities that aren't making it through to these pages here, why were they on the SWOT? Or was the SWOT not right? Okay, we're going well. If you've been building your pack, you should have on your front cover this one, which is the strategy, business plan and 3 horizons for the name of your business. You'll have the example of the SWOT, nice coloured one. You will have hopefully built your own action-based SWOT. Okay. Then you've just completed your 3 business ambitions, 3 business challenges, and your 3 business priorities. So that's the order. And then at the back, which keeps moving, is your action list. Anything that is coming out of your building your strategic and business plan that you want to have a look at when you get back to the office. Okay. Now, just going to have a little bit of a recap. What have we learned so far? That traditional governance boards were designed to solve ownership problems that developed a long, long time ago. Today's directors and managers are dealing with problems outside of their areas of expertise. How much you know about a situation will determine how you can predict the results of your actions. Many companies get stuck at that natural make or break point that we talked about. Most companies don't make much money or economic profit, as we call it, and you've got to go up the power curve. Remember the sumo wrestlers? Okay. And what we're doing to try and solve all of these problems is build this pack that we've been talking about. Now, I want to have a talk about Hulon's levels and airline pilots. This might be a little bit confrontational, so just take it the way it's meant to be, hopefully. Where you start, what you start with is important, where you play is critical, how you play matters most. So here's a game board. I don't know how many of you have seen this game board. If you just think about your business for a moment, you've got your existing products and you've got your new products, and you've got existing markets, and then you've got the new markets down the left there. And do you want to purchase more from existing customers, or do they want to purchase more from you, I should say? Do you want to gain customers from competitors? Do you want to convert non-users or cross-sell more? If you're in product development in the room, do you want to look at new products for the market? Do you want to actually look at new market segments over here? Or do you want to look at some diversification strategy? Maybe M&A, maybe joint ventures, mergers, or so on. Generally speaking, you'll either be like that, or possibly that way. So if you think of your business, I know there's a range of businesses in the room, you're going to be in a couple of these. You won't be three. It's very rare that you're in three. So just keep that in your head. I would suspect most of us would be in market penetration strategy, trying to sell more to more customers and to the market as a whole, and looking for new segments. What the guys have just handed out is what we call plan on a page. That's this one here. Okay. Now, the idea of this is that you're going to have a look at the top 3 problems your target customer has. So that's the top left there. So if you just write what you think the top 3 problems your target customer has, and then what's the 3 solutions that you can give your customer. Okay, so what's the top 3 problems that they have, and then what's the top 3 features of your product or service that can solve their problem. So most of you do this all the time. So we're only going to take 3 minutes for this because I think we're all pretty good. What's your top 3 problems your target customer has, and what's your top 3 features your service has? Okay, looks like we're going really well with this one, which is great. Now just have a look at your channels, path to customers. How do you get more clients, more customers? So if you looked at their top 3 problems, you've solved top 3 problems for the customer, the client, how do you attract more clients? Website, referrals, word of mouth, etc. Okay, so the next one to have a look at is your customer segments. What segments do you want to go after? Okay, segments, customer segments now. So we've done our problems, solutions, channels, and now customer segments. Okay, so our last one, the unfair advantage. This is quite tricky, this one. What's your unfair advantage? What can't be easily copied or bought? So it's not your unique value proposition, it's what is your unfair advantage. And don't say yourselves. So that's... Okay, we'll just keep going. So we've only completed, because of time, your problem, your solution, your unfair advantage, channels, how do you get to customers, and what customer segments. So this is what we call plan on a page, and now that gets added to the pack that we're developing. Okay, so we've got there, we just keep building the pack. So we're just going to stop there for a second and just talk about the knowledge, skills and experience to change your odds. Because what we're trying to do is move up the power curve, remember? Or if we're already up there, we want to stay there. So the ultimate aim of any board is to create that mobility shift in your favour, in your odds. So this is what we call the 7 S's, or a holonic system. So a lot of people come to us and say, hey, can you help us with our strategy? And we say, could do, but you can't play around with strategy unless you look at your systems, your staff and your skills, your style and your super purpose. Because everything is linked. It cascades up and down. So what we're doing at the moment is we're building a pack that should link into all of these. A holonic world is where everything is connected. So my heart is connected to my body, which is connected to my system. So if I play with my heart, it's going to affect my body and my system. Exactly the same here. If you muck around with your structure in your business without looking at everything else, you're going to actually not do a good job. And so big moves take time. You know, you just can't walk out of here and do a big move. Well, you could, but... So the time creates complexity in everything you do. And complexity creates higher level problems to be solved. So if you want to improve productivity in your business, it's going to take A to B, whatever that time frame is. You know, one move over 2 years, say. But if you're a managing director and you want to, say, double your market share or improve your competitive position over, say, 6 years, that's going to take about 3 moves. And because of that, it takes longer and it's a much harder job. So your job, your role, is about your time frame. I go out and buy the Weekend Herald from the dairy on a Saturday. That doesn't take me long. But if I go to the supermarket to buy the Weekend Herald, that's longer, so it's more complex. Okay? So whatever you're doing in your business that takes a while, that time span is critical. So we're all equal as humans, but we're not the same when it comes to solving problems. Now, level 1 to 6 here, which is down the left-hand side, and we've got these roles here. Now, don't worry too much about the titles. This is just an example. And over here, this is the work they do, and then that's the time frame. So if it's a frontline level 1 person, and nothing wrong with what role it is, okay? It's not a judge on what their role is. As a level 1 customer services manager in a call centre, that's me, I'm looking at ways of improving and operating. And I'm getting judged possibly on how I can answer the phone better, do everything like that. That's a very short time frame, isn't it? But the team manager, he or she is looking at a next level up, and how do I maintain and improve that current system? You know, team meetings, all those sorts of things. The function manager might be looking at how do they redesign the systems in 1 to 2 years. And the general manager, he or she, is looking at improving through cross-functional integration. So it's all about time. The managing director might be saying, why can't we outsource it to the Philippines or something like that? And the CEO might be thinking, why do we need staff? Why can't the customer do it all? But that's going to take a while. So each role is determined by the length of time. To most of us in this room are operating at high levels, okay? And we're solving very complex problems for your clients. You're not down here. Nothing wrong with being down here if you're a customer services person. Okay? So an airline pilot would be level 3 because it's a process. He or she is landing the plane, taking off on the plane. It's all over in a very short time. I know they've got to know health and safety and do all those good things, but you don't want the pilot to be at level 5 or 6 and start to think of new ways, flying it upside down. You know? So now, if on the back of one of your pieces of paper, please, if you just draw a triangle and just do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and maybe not talk to each other over this one. I know it's going to be hard. Could you just put a circle around what you think the industry is at, what level? What level is the industry? Is it level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6? So remember, these are just guidelines. What level do you think our industry is? Now I'll tell you what I think. And I'm probably wrong. So a level 1 industry, to help you, would be something with not much complexity. A level 6 industry or sector is going to have a lot of complexity. Who wants to shout out something? Who was that? 3. Anyone else? 4. Any higher? Higher? Like buying a house. Anyone else?
6.
Sorry?
6.
Why? Why is a 6?
It's only reshaping it for the next 10, 20 years.
Yep.
What we're doing now is reshaping for customer experience.
The regulators will be trying to redo it next year. After all the FAP's been issued, then they'll start tinkering with it again, and we'll have to change it again in 3 to 5 years' time. That's what happens all over the world. Not in the UK. Change every 3 years, the regulators change it again and again and again. That's my experience.
I would have thought that the industry is at level 5 or 6. That's my view coming in here, is because of the complexity, the regulation and everything. Now, nothing wrong with being level 5 or 6 or being level 1 as an industry. Before COVID, what would the tourism industry might have been a level 2 or 3? Now it's right up there, isn't it? So you've got your triangle there. You might not want to show this to everyone else. Where do you think you are as a business? What level is your business? So if you agree with me that you don't have to, we're operating, the industry's level 5 or 6. I don't think anyone will be operating at level 1 in the room, but let's just say you are. There's a mismatch, isn't there? So the most dominant and profitable player in the industry or the market that you're in is always operating at 1 level above you. So if you think of a competitor in your area, your business, and you really admire them, they will generally be operating at 1 level above you. And these are the things that boards should be discussing. So just think of someone, or maybe you are at the top, that's great. But if the competitor, in this case a managing director, should be looking at strategy and sales, but doesn't have to be an expert in marketing or customer services or product development in this example. In this example here, if you're operating down here, you want to go up into strategy, don't you? But you don't have to be an expert in finance. So if you're trying to major in finance, is that probably the best thing for your business? So can you use this in your business? So do you know your organisation's levels and capabilities? We've just sort of given it a bit of a go. And remember, the most dominant player will always be one level above you. So you've got to know your own capability, your own level. Now, felt truths are hard to change, and every business has felt truths. I think when we were doing the session this morning, I made a mistake of using this example, but I'll use it again. Everyone has felt truths or felt beliefs in business. My felt truth is that the Blues, the rugby team, can never lose a game. Now, so, a new insurance to use. What we do is, once that felt truth is absolutely shown not to be true, you move it into what we call a fact book, and it stays there until there's something major happens in the business. Because what you see in boards that you're involved with is that we keep going back to our felt truths and beliefs, don't we? Keep going over the same old thing. And so once we've proven our felt truths or beliefs, either way, we can move on to make change within the business. And so what we're doing with our pack is we're shifting the levels. We're looking at some of those problems. Remember, you had the opportunities, challenges, and priorities. You measure the impact when you've altered or fixed one of those. Then you go on to your next problem, and then you select and refresh, and you keep going back. But you're doing it with an open mind. And that pack, and we've got a couple more pages to do, is what every quarter or every 6 months, depending on the size of your business, you should be reviewing. And it's a very simple document. I mean, it's a living document. So pay attention to who is giving advice. Take advice from executors rather than educators. So we all go looking for advice. If I go home, or you go home and you say we're going to start a business, okay? Let's say we're going to open up a cafe. There's 2 bits of advice you're going to get. It's a great idea, Henry, or it's a shit idea. But we've got some advice. We're on the journey. We're on the journey. And so this is performance-orientated advice, and this is what we call conformance-orientated. So at the top end, you have 2 sorts of boards. You have professional advisory boards and governance boards. A Faraday's view is that a professional advisory board is looking forward. Lots of governance boards, and I sit on governance boards, will look forward too, but generally they've got a fiduciary duty to protect. And so there's lots of advice out there, and what you need is right in front of you is a governance checklist. And this is a part of advice. If you go down, we're not going to spend long on this, so if you just go down all these items, this is a general checklist, and you just put yes or no against all those things. Has anyone not got a certificate of incorporation? Well, that's good. We're past the first one. Okay, so you put yes. And what you're doing here is just having a quick review of your business from a governance perspective. Is the platform cool? Is it all right? And in our 90-day plan, what we do is we check all of those things. And why a lot of businesses like it, it's the first time that somebody's actually gone through and had a look. Now, there's nothing wrong with having a no in some things if it isn't applicable to your business. I think on page 2 there's a complaints register. Okay, we know we need a complaints register. You know, have we got a strategic plan? Have we got insurance? So that now is just added to our pack. So what's the difference between governance boards and professional advisory boards? Here's a table, and remember everyone will get all these slides, is in one slide here, sort of shows what it is. As Mark was saying when he did the introduction, I'm a chartered member of IoD and a Fellow of Governance New Zealand, and I sit on governance boards. I also sit on advisory boards. So it's horses for courses, you know. Governance boards, and that's a traditional, are generally, in a lot of cases that I've seen, are looking backwards. Good boards should always be looking forwards. So an example might be, why didn't we get the sales last month? Why do we spend an hour talking about that? We should be saying, how do we make that up in the next month, 2 months? You know, it's the run rate in cricket. The other one there, the appointment term. A lot of governance boards are like the All Blacks. It's really hard to get into the All Blacks. But once you're in there, it's really hard to get out of the All Blacks. And so you've seen a lot of governance boards, it's 3 years by 3 years by 3 years. You know? We think it should be a term of engagement. So when the director, advisor or chair has moved on, and they should be moved on after a certain period of time, because they've given you as much information as they can, and you're looking for new information. Lots of governance boards meet monthly, and that's great, you know, generally 11 times a year. We think advisory boards should meet at least 6 times a year, every 2 months. Sometimes you might have to meet monthly if you're doing a big project or something like that, or putting in a new CRM system or something like that. So the meeting minutes are interesting, and these might help you with your own minutes with your own boards. So I was saying the meeting schedule, the board of directors are monthly, advisory boards can be monthly in certain cases or quarterly. Do you have agendas? You should do, obviously. Confirmation of prior meeting. So what I recommend is that you send the minutes out within 48 hours of having the meeting, and then you just say to people, these are set out for confirmation. If I don't hear back from you in 2 days, we're taking them as confirmed. And so the way we suggest you have your governance and your advisory boards, if you've got an advisory board, is you have, you know, good old welcome, apologies, any conflicts of interest, action points from the last meeting or to date, and then you have the managing director's report or the CEO's report or the finance report as well, depending on the size of your business. What we do is we recommend having a deep dive, and you should have up to 2 deep dives for every meeting, and they're on topics that link back to our strategic plan that we've been building. So it might be, how do we get new customer segments? What do we look for? You know, what new markets could we enter into? Should we be looking at buying a book? Then you have general business, then you have action points from this meeting, and then confirmation of the minutes from the last meeting. Why we put them at the end, it's just showing that you're forward-looking, not looking back and they've been confirmed. So you can do that for either boards. And so people say, well, what's the difference in the minutes? Well, here we have at a director meeting, so that's a governance board, the directors discussed, and an advisory board, remember they're advisors, they're saying management and the advisors discussed. The officers of the corporation versus marketing advisor Henry Lynch. So the responsibility and the authority in an advisory board should always sit with the directors, shareholders and owners of the business. That's the difference of the two there, not with the board. And then every board should have a code of conduct and a charter. It should be very simple, whether it's an advisory board or a governance board. And that's the rules around how the board operates. So if you bring on a new person, bring on Fred Flintstone, he gets that and knows the rules and engagement. So a traditional governance board, to recap, the CEO is looking forward, the directors are looking backward, course set for smooth, low-risk waters, as opposed to an advisory board, a professional advisory board, because it's really choppy out there, isn't it? It's hard work. You're looking forward, it's agile and uncertain conditions. Everyone on the team is playing a role. They've got an assigned role. If somebody falls out, somebody there to pick them up. But you're looking forward. So, people say, what should a structure of a board be? You can have company representatives, 1 to 3, depending on the size of your business, you know. We recommend you should have an independent chair. It was a really good question this morning. They said, you know, should that person be work from the industry? It really depends on your business, you know. In a lot of cases, businesses want somebody from outside their industry because they've got different knowledge, because you'll be experts in your industry. And then you can have advisors, 1 or 2, and you might bring in consultants for something like a new IT system or something like that, CRM system. So what's happening is you've built your plan, you've got these strategic goals, and you might need an advisor to help you. They come in, they might be there 1 or 2 meetings, solve your problem, you say goodbye to them, you look at your next problem or opportunity, fix that one. And then at a certain stage, you refresh that plan that we've just built. Board life cycles, you could have just a project-based board. That could be for the FAP regime, 6 months. If you're merging, growing, changing or exiting, we suggest that your board tenure should be something like that as a guideline. The dotted line here is if you're doing, you've gone through the 3 months that, you know, to set up your board and everything, some companies say, look, we just want the chair for a while. Just keep the chair, you know, and then later on they might bring in other people to the board. Up to you, which would. So this is a really detailed look at what you would need to do if you wanted to set up a board using this model. You've got all the company pre-work, you've got what we call your endowments, that's your past, okay, and what's your trends in your industry, remember the big moves? And then you've got how you establish the advisory board. Basically, we've done a lot of this now. I know we haven't done it in detail because we're doing it as a team. That would take it takes about 3 months. The hard part is working out your unfair advantage. Because once you've got your unfair advantage, you know, that can go into your staff communications, can go into your marketing, it can go into that. what can't be easily copied or bought. So, the last handout from the guys, aren't they doing a good job? Yeah. 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 So what we're going to do here is you're going to have two handouts. This is probably the key document. It's called the 3 Horizons. I've made these names up for today. Horizon 1 is adapt, Horizon 2 is adopt, and accelerate. So Horizon 1 is what would you like to become or do differently? So how it works is you pick your 3 to 5 goals that you're going to write down. So remember, you've done your priorities and ambitions and challenges and everything like that. Hopefully they're going to fit in here somewhere. So this horizon can be whatever time frame you like. Personally, it shouldn't be too long. Once you knock those off, 2 becomes 1, 3 becomes 2, and you build another new 3. And so what's happening is that your board is looking at this every, say, 2nd or 3rd month. Some boards look at it every month. How are you going against your 3 horizons? And so the guys are going to give you 2 forms, I think, from memory, 2 pieces of paper. One tells you how it works, and the other one you can write in what you would like to see in your horizons. So only got about 5 minutes because we've got to wrap up soon. So you're writing what you think your horizons are on the one with the dots, with nothing in it. And Horizon 1 is what should you do differently. Horizon 2, what should you do that's new. And Horizon 3, what should or would you like to become. The time frames can be anything you like. Personally, I don't think they should be too far. They shouldn't be 5, 7, 10 years. Not in this environment, not in the industry you're in. Some people will have a sprint horizon, 6 months. And that's to get, say, their house in order. Okay, we're going really well. I've just been given the word to hurry up because drinks are on shortly. So that's your cover sheet to recap. Strategic business plan and 3 horizons. That's just an example of an action-based SWOT. So you've always got that. You've got then the SWOT that we have put together, or Jeff has put together, for a fat business. And then that's your action-based SWOT. You can have the templates. Then you should have your 3 business ambitions, 3 challenges over the next 12 months. And then your 3 business priorities. And then you've got your plan on a page. Whoa. Then you've done your governance checklist. Yes, no's, whatever. Then you've just done your planning horizons. There's 2 there. One tells you how it works. And then the other one is just a template to fill in. And then you've got your 90-day action list at the back. So FSC team will send everything out, and so you've got those templates to work with. This is a quote from one of our clients, which we quite like. So you should always have the board that you want, not the one that you've been told. And that's really critical. So, a bit of a summary. The question is, do you have the knowledge, skills and experience to separate all this noise that's going on out there? The current governance systems were designed to solve a lot of problems from the last century. Regrettably, most companies don't make a profit. And if you want to go up the power curve, you've got to be at that top end. And the aim of having any board is to shift the odds in your favour. Otherwise, what's the point of having them? We believe that you should have an independent chair and the problem-relevant advisors. And then we've seen some international studies that ones that do have advisory boards perform better in sales, productivity and profitability. And then we talked about hulons and levels. Remember that? So we're all equal as humans, but have different levels of problem-solving ability, and that's determined by the time span of the role. Any questions? No questions? I obviously want to go to the bar. So I'd just like to thank Mark and Jeff for handing out everything. Well done, guys.
Okay, it's up to me now. Thank you, Henry and Jeff, very much for sharing their time and their expertise with us. I hope that you all took something away from that. I personally enjoy this style of class where you can actually get involved and try and do things and think about how it applies to your business. So the approach of tying the strategy of your business with governance is essential. So the expertise you just got for the last 2.5 hours, a big compression of 3 months' work. So pretty hard task for the afternoon. I hope your minds are a little bit screwed now with all that thinking, and you've earned that drink that's about to come. So thank you very much for participating in this session, and I will hand it over to Mr. Clippen to round out the day. Thank you, Mr. Clippen.
And so concludes our ensemble performance, if you will. We've had some fantastic input from across the community, from across this room, people bringing their insights on the third horizon all the way through to practice management and a bit of a razz up this morning in session 1. So, folks, hopefully it's been productive for you. It's been thought-provoking for you. The whole summit, as I said this morning, is a production of the FSC's Professional Advice Committee. We're really blessed to have a whole bunch of people involved in that, but without the leadership of Tricia and Mark and Russell, who have basically pulled this whole thing together, we wouldn't be here. So I just want us all to acknowledge Tricia and Mark and Russell for their fabulous work. It was a bit of a punt, kind of changing up our format, but like most things in Henry, in your horizons, you've got to have a go and learn from what you do. So if you've got feedback, we'd love to hear it. What we're really interested in doing is making sure that the financial advice sector in New Zealand is productive, it's growing, it's profitable. I think we all heard John Bodica talk about the value of advice, our research evidences, all of that stuff. So that's collectively all for us to do. So that's what this forum is about. That's what the platform is all about. And we can do pretty much anything that we want to. So thank you for taking the time to join us today. Whether you're a sponsor, a delegate, a speaker, a contributor, an observer, awesome effort. It's now time for drinks and canapes. And they downstairs, and have a safe rest of the afternoon wherever you're going. Thank you.